And suddenly that woman went, she said, I need to put on lipstick. So I need to wake up every morning and I need to put on lipstick. That's what she said. And we all just looked at her like,
Okay.
the 70s were tough for you, huh? So anyway, it was just really, alarming. Bless her heart. She's not here anymore. So yeah, so the adding 10 contacts, whenever you go through bold, it's 20 contacts a day. So this is just like baby bold. So if you're killing it with a 10, that's awesome. You're gonna do great with 20. So adding 100 people a week to your database is super helpful. You guys know about the conversion ratios, right? Like if you add 50 people to your contact database, that will, even if you don't know any of them, 50 not mets, like you just got their business cards off the bulletin board at Fuzzies or whatever. Like if you put those all on a drip campaign through your CRM, you'll get a transaction out of that by the end of the year. Okay? So if you don't know anybody, there's a person who will go unnamed who has sat in this training room over and over saying they only know 2 people. Well, look, if you just add 50 people you don't know, well then you're bound to get a transaction. So just do that. Yep. The conversion ratio is 12 to 2 on people that you do know. Out of every 12 people, 1 person will do business with you, 1 person will refer business to you. So, so yeah, just add people to your database. It seems like a just busy work, but I assure you, it's not. It's not busy work. Okay. Who we got? Lane, you're here.
I sure am.
Okay.
Morning.
Yeah, it's Friday morning. It's an intimate group. Rough. Okay. Decide where I want to go with this. Given that it's such a small group, I really like to do some mastery stuff here. Okay. So basically, there's three sections to working with selling your listing, and that is to stage it, market it, and communicate with your seller. So we'll go into a deep dive on staging it. We're going to spend the primary lion's share of our time on marketing. And then finally, we'll get into communications, which we'll only spend a minute on, unless you guys really need to know how to like talk. I find that realtors tend to be naturally really good at that. So we're on page 13. So let's talk about staging. I'm going to go through kind of what this page says real quick, and then I'm going to completely tangent from the material, and who knows if we'll ever get back to it. So the goals of staging are to present the best face of the home, maximize the spaciousness of the home, and allow visiting buyers to envision themselves living in the home instead of seeing the seller at every turn. Okay. I'm going to give you guys what I call the 3 Ds of staging. Okay. 3 Ds of staging. So feel free to write this down. This is what I tell my sellers whenever I go to a listing appointment. The 3 Ds of staging are declutter, depersonalize, and define. Okay. So let's go through each of those, and I'll talk to you about what they mean. So declutter, first and foremost. What I'm not saying is that your client should be on hoarding buried alive. Like, I'm not saying that. Sometimes decluttering refers to, you have to keep in mind that whenever we're photographing listings, you're taking a 3-dimensional space and you're putting it in 2 dimensions, okay? So even though you might be standing in a space and think like, oh wow, this looks really well put together and really well appointed, and everything's composed very well, as soon as that space is brought into 3 dimensions, what you'll find is that they look cluttered. Okay, and so I have some rules that keep that from happening. The first rule is that if it is not furniture, it doesn't belong on the floor. Walls can stay. Furniture does not. That's the only thing that stays on the floor. So your plastic Sterilite container with your sewing materials that you've never sewn with, that doesn't belong on the floor. A wicker basket with Highlights magazine from 1997, that doesn't stay on the floor. So boxes of whatever it is, that we can afford. This is where people get triggered. That includes closets. Every closet's a walk-in closet if you can walk in it. So people just pile it up to the top and like, hey, you should take all that out of there. Now people say, well, Thomas, what in the hell do you expect them to do with their stuff? Well, we're in Texas, you can use the garage. As long as they can still access the access panel and the water heater, and the attic pull down, I don't care if you can stack the garage always. I don't care. Leave hallways. One thing that I have been known to do, and so here's a mastery tip. Here's something you can get if you show up. I'm going to whisper it so they don't hear. I have often gotten my clients a storage unit. Okay, I'll go get them a 5x10 or 10x10, whatever they need. The price that I normally pay for that is somewhere between $0 and nothing. You might say, well, Thomas, how are you getting free storage space? Well, I'll tell you. Every time I approach a storage facility, I say, hi, I'm a real estate agent. I represent roughly $10 to $12 million in volume per year, and I'm looking to get my clients some storage space. How much will that cost? And they go, we'll give you the first 30 days free. And I go, wow, that's amazing. So then I go back to my clients. Hey, I'm paying for free 30 days of storage for you. So, be grateful. And so here's the place, here's the unit, bring your own block. You're welcome. I do it all the time. So, doesn't matter the facility, U-Haul, Cube Store, doesn't matter. Just go do that. So your clients have no excuses not to declutter. They should declutter. So that's the first rule of decluttering. The second rule is that on countertops, kitchen, I don't care if it's kitchen countertops, bathroom countertops, doesn't matter to me, you are allowed a maximum of 3 items. You get 3. You're thinking, Thomas, these kitchens are huge. Yep, and they get 3 items on a counter. So put away the cookie jars with no cookies in them, and that banana hanger that doesn't have any bananas on it, and your dish towel collection, or your kid's backpack. You get like maybe a Keurig, maybe a nice knife set, and a bowl of fruit, and that's it. I had a lady who did all of that and still had her like hand pump soap on the sink, and I was like, that's an item. Not a sink. We don't leave the plastic soft soap thing out there. It's like, no, it's a monolith. You ever go on HGTV and see that the soap's not out there, honey? You just gotta put it all away. So 3 items to a countertop maximum. By the way, in the bathroom, people that leave their like electric toothbrush on the countertop, that's weird.
Yeah.
Put that.
I would be afraid that they would touch it.
Yeah, I would too. People got odd fetishes. Just put it away. Just put it away. It's just weird. Yeah, just put it away. So those are my recommendations in terms of decluttering. And it's all about photography, really. The way that we stage and the way that we show are different. The way that we stage, the way that we show, the way that we live are very, very different. Right? So put all those things away. The next D of the 3 Ds of staging is depersonalize. Now, you've probably heard this someplace before, where you don't want a whole lot of photos of your clients around all over. By the way, there is a very well-known real estate agent out of this office. Every time I go into their listings, I don't know, they've got the clients that are just very proud of the way they look, I guess. But these people are not depersonalizing, and it's uncomfortable. I can go in and look at your clients looking back at me. It's very weird. So depersonalizing is important. Put away the photos, put away the family effects, but I take it a couple of extra steps, and I've got some reasons for it. I'm going to explain them to you with stories and examples. That's my favorite way to teach. So in addition to getting rid of photos, there are some people that are just like obsessed with their last names. I don't really get it, but it's just like their last name is Smith, and they're going to hang Smith all over the house. You're going to have Smith signage and a giant S in the front yard and an S that lights up in the kitchen. And the lawn is they've got ivy manicured into the shape of an S. That's just not necessary. That's just not what it's never necessary, and it's especially unnecessary for selling the house. Get rid of that, okay? Your diplomas that are hanging on the wall, your mom's super proud of you. Get rid of that. Just go ahead and put that in the closet and hang up a picture of Dr. King or something to cover where it was. But the thing is, if you graduated with a degree in aerospace engineering, I might think you make too much money, so you don't need all of mine. You should put that away. You should put that away. If you have a degree in music, I might feel bad for you, but let's not chance it. Just put it away. It's okay. I went to music school. 4 years, don't have a degree. So it's put those things away as well. Now here's where we start to get a little bit touchy, right? So it's going to get controversial from this point forward. Get ready. I don't care about your favorite sports team. Okay, I don't care, especially if it's not regionally accurate, right? So if you're like a Green Bay Packers fan, that's awesome. I love Aaron Rodgers' wrist flick. It's really, really Lane, Aaron Rodgers, the wrist. He's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
sports.
Yeah.
Are my favorite.
Sports
thing.
ball. He's got a great, but not regionally accurate, and I don't care. So I don't want a Minnesota Vikings fan to walk in and feel alienated and not be willing to give me his $500,000 because I'm an Aaron Rodgers wrist flick fan. Okay. I am more tolerant if it's the Dallas Cowboys, not because I love the team, it's just because it's regionally and we are in the Dallas area. It makes sense. I would still tone it down a lot of it. So here's, do you guys want to just take an informal moment? Lane, you're all about informal moments, right?
I love informalities.
Yeah, informalities are fun. I'm gonna go to a website called the Multiple Listing Service. Wow, it just pops up whenever I type that in on my browser. I need to figure this stuff out. Lane.
Well, somebody has it set to be Yahoo, so
Yeah,
you need to figure that
it's
out
a little
first.
uncomfortable. Who's still
You
using that?
click on Google and it takes you to Yahoo. That's the part.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
It's Google Chrome. It takes you to Yahoo.
There's no.
Just likes to play.
I haven't
Not
taken
enough.
any time for it.
Not enough millennials on this computer, clearly. So let's jump in here real quick. And I offered on a house the other day in the colony, and I just want to show you guys what the I offered for me. I wanted to buy it. But I'm going to show you one of the rooms. Yeah, pending, not with me.
Oh.
I know, rough.
Is there room for your 7 dogs?
That's the whole reason of purchasing it. There's 8, by the way.
Oh, you have 8 now?
Yeah.
Are you still fostering the 9?
No, the 9th went back to the shelter. He actually got adopted by an old lady.
Oh, no.
Not that.
This is painted. Like, it's all painted.
That's very well done.
It's painted on the wall. There's this thing built into it, like for knickknacks and trinkets. It's supposed to be like a locker. I was just like, what? What are we going to do with all of this? We'll put dog collars, I guess. I don't know what to. It's very. There's the names of random men I've never heard of on the wall. It's just very, very bizarre. By the way, I think men who wear other men's jerseys are weird. That's just my opinion. Let's go back to the material. So, I told you I was getting controversial. So,
Controversy.
very controversial. Okay, it's still, by the way, I've just clipped the top of the iceberg on being controversial. There's some more controversial stuff to come. Here we go. I love that you love Jesus. I think that's awesome. I really do. And your faith is important to me. And if your idea of home decor is a cross wall, first of all, it's not. Second of all, everyone's money is green, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed. So my suggestion is to just take that down. And now you might be saying, Thomas, how do you say that to a client? I'm going to give you the script. You guys ready for the mastery script? This is what you paid for. This is what you paid the admission to get in here for. I'm just going to pretend this is our cross wall. You ready? That'll be really good.
That is our cross walls.
Okay, here we go. Wow. This stuff looks really important. I'm nervous that this is going to get damaged, stolen, vandalized, by the vagrants who will be coming out of here whenever you're selling your house. So my suggestion to you is to just pack this up to keep it safe, and just box it all up. We'll put it in that free storage facility we got you, and we'll get it unpacked whenever we get you into your new home.
So I've got a question.
You got a question about that script? It's so good.
No, it is a good script. There we go. No, with that, wouldn't, due to the fact that it's kind of connected to the wall, be something that we could also bring up? It's like, if you want to, and I'm all for the cross wall, I've got to be on my wall. It's not the whole thing, because that's too much. But anyways, with that being said, couldn't we say, hey, due to the fact that it's kind of connected to the wall, they could consider that part of the house as well? So to make sure that it's not considered part of the house, you probably need to take these to protect your personal items.
That's a great script. It's not true, but it's a great script.
That's
You can do that. So stuff that's hanging on the wall is considered chattel. So it's not attached or affixed. If it's attached to a mount, like a TV or a speaker, that's a genuine concern, right? That's attached. But the stuff that's hanging on nails, no, the nails stay, but the stuff hanging on the nails do not.
Okay.
So, but the fact is your client doesn't know any better. Yeah, you want to say that, you go for it. Makes sense. Whatever you have to say to get the Star of David or the giant cross wall or I don't know Buddha.
Tchotchkes.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
on the wall, they need to go.
That's right. That's the best thing to do. Oh, and tchotchkes. People that love to have tchotchkes, and it's like, oh, these are my pigs and roosters. I'm just like, who decided that was decoration? That stuff goes. There is a local stager, by the way, who I will not name, who she declutters for a living. That's what she does. She's really good for semi-hoarding cases, but you can go too far. Okay, you can depersonalize, or you can declutter to the point that things start to look cold and unlived in, and that's not what you want. So that's why I say 3 items on a counter, not 0. Okay, I'm not saying to remove all of your decor, just unless you're just really bad at decorating. I have walked into houses where I would say, "You guys have the ability to move before we put this on the market." You do. I just think it would show better empty. It's happened.
Is that because they were so minimalist, or
No.
they just were workers?
The people whose idea of home decor is like,
Awful.
yeah, like I've got 4 recliners of various colors and materials in the living room. We got these palettes off of Pinterest and made a coffee table. I'm like, all right, okay, so you think you could just put it in your next house? Oh, we'll address it when we sell that one. So, yeah, uncomfortable. Okay, so where are we at to depersonalize? Did we get all the depersonalization? Have we depersonalized everything? I think we depersonalized pretty darn well. Okay, so the final one is define. Now you'll notice that define is sort of it's a vague term, and it's like that on purpose. So let me tell you what define means, and then let me tell you what you can make it mean, which is anything. One of the rooms that have been sort of neglected over the last 20 years is formal living rooms and formal dining rooms. People don't want them anymore. They want studies, right? And they want dens. Here's the problem. That room is a dining room. It is a dining room. It has a chandelier in it. It's in the very front of your house. When you walk in, it is a dining room. It's a dining room. And a dining room has a very specific way that it's supposed to be staged. It's supposed to have a table and chairs. It's a dining room. Dining rooms have dining tables. Did you know that? So
In theory.
the challenge is a lot of times we have formal dining rooms that will have like a futon and a tube TV, one of those carpets that kids use to play with their cars on, and you're like, and so what will happen is that buyers are so overwhelmed with the process and the sights and the smells of purchasing a home, they will walk out of the house going, "We couldn't put our dining room table in that house. There's no dining." They will walk out of it thinking it didn't have the room that it absolutely had because it wasn't staged appropriately. They will walk out of a 4-bedroom house thinking it was 3 bedrooms because one of the rooms were set up as a study. They will. You think I'm wrong? I sure don't know. So rooms really need to be staged as what they are, right? So if it's a bedroom, it should look like a bedroom. If it's a study, it should look like a study. So it should look like what it is. Here's the problem is that I tell this to real estate agents and they go, "Well, Thomas, what if my seller doesn't have a table? What if my seller doesn't have a bed? What if my seller doesn't have," folks, I mean this in the nicest possible way. That falls under the category of not your problem. I'm here to give you real estate advice. Hi, you hired me for my professionalism. I'm here to tell you what you need to do to stage the property appropriately. If they make it your problem, folks, it's not. Okay, so if we start getting feedback on showing time, it's, "Oh, the house didn't have enough bedrooms. Oh, house didn't have a dining room." You just get to go, "Hold on, I know I've got it in my I told you so file somewhere. It's in here. Just, can we play back the tape? I swear to God, I told you." Like that's just the conversation we have to have, right? So I have been known to go and get a bed in a bag from Walmart, and it's like and you air it up, and it looks like it's a bed. There, you have a bed now. So if you want to be generous, you can. I did that in a house that was vacant one time because there was a room downstairs that I really needed people to know was a bedroom, even though it wasn't. It was a study, but I made it look like a bedroom. So I have done it. It was on Auburn. I remember that. I mean, if I could remember the address, I would show it to you. It was on Auburn.
Now I've got a question, and I feel like I'm very talkative today. It's all good.
Good.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be.
Here. So I've got a question. Is it so that if a room has a closet, it would be consideration of a bedroom, not a study? A study does not have a closet.
That is the generally accepted theorem. Per appraisal standards, it's not true. Let me tell you how you can define a bedroom per appraisal standards, okay? Okay, now you should consult an appraiser, but I have done real estate for 1 or 2 weeks at this point, right? I started, day 1 was whenever I taught ignition, and so
Nice.
this is, I think, what are we on, day 9, 10, something like that. So, so I'm doing pretty well. A bedroom has to be at least 7 by 7, okay? And it needs a direct ingress and egress. So an ingress from the interior of the house and an egress to the outside. So meaning it needs a door, it needs a window. That's a bedroom. Now, most of your old school agents who have 04 license numbers will tell you, no, it has to be, gotta have a closet, otherwise it's not a bedroom. That is not true. Now, if you want to stave off some adversity, then yeah, you just, if it has a closet, it's better. But if ever you need to argue with somebody, just, that's the actual definition. It's the adversity.
Perfect.
So I had a condo listed in Oak Lawn last year where I was considering, there was this huge, like 15 by 14 room upstairs. It didn't have a closet, but it would not have been useful for anything other than a bedroom. And so I was like, put an armoire in there. It's 14, it's huge.
Right.
It's huge. The size of this training room, we're like, well, what do you want me to call it? So it wasn't a game room, it was on the 4th floor. There was no way to get it. It was a bedroom.
Or dance party room. I mean,
Yep. So, okay. So define means to define things as what they are. Now, define is also a catch-all. Okay. So if there is something that is glaringly obvious that you need to change about your listing, then you can always use this D to define it as that. So we go, so the final D, Mr. Seller, is define. We need to define this room as not having like Mike Brady green shag carpet. You can just use we need to define this wood paneling wall as not being here anymore. We need to define it as being painted a different color. We need to define this golden chandelier as just not being here anymore. You can use that final D for whatever you need to do. Okay, so the final D is a catch-all. It's good for everything. It's good for all. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm really excited about telling you this story. This has to do with depersonalizing. It has to do with the religious artifacts, actually. There was this was probably 3, maybe 4 years ago. It was a real estate agent in this office. Okay, and I showed one of her listings, and it was up in Sanger, and it was on land. It was a nice house. There was not a single corner that you could turn in that house without seeing a life-size picture of the Virgin Mary crying blood. Every corner of that, it was vacant, completely vacant, no furniture, but crying Virgin Mary. The sellers thought that it would be lucky. They thought they were just like, this will bring us luck. And I was just like, I don't know where you came up with that. Where you came up with that? She's not even happy. So it was really alarming. And I love this person. So I called her afterwards and said, hey, I don't know if you noticed, there's a lot of emotion going on in the walls of that house. And I was like, I bet if you were to take those down, and the house had been on the market for about 30 days. I was like, I would bet if you could convince them to take those down, or if you just like showed up in the dead of night and happened to just put those in the trunk of your car or something, I would bet that house would sell. And she did do that. And I think that house was on the market for 36 days total because it sold the next one. ETL, do you know who the agent was?
Was it my mother? No way. That sounds so like my mother. Half of her clients are from the church. So whenever you said that, I was like,
I almost did
Mary.
I almost did my dead-on impression of your mother during that. And I was like, no, I don't want to give it away. No, I don't want to give it away. No, I don't want to give it away.
When you said Virgin Mary, I was like, that could be my mom.
Yep, it was definitely your mom. My favorite, gosh, I've got so many favorite stories about your mom, but I think she had a listing up in North Denton one time that it was about to expire, and she was kind of upset about it, and she was just like, I don't know, I just can't get it sold. And I asked her, I was like, what do you think's going on with it? And she said the following sentence in the exact way. She was like, I have these clients and they cook a lot of fish. They're like, they what? It's like they cook a lot of fish. It's like they cook. Oh, they cook a lot of fish. Oh, so this house doesn't smell good. Oh, okay. She did sell that house, but anyway,
Oh my god.
so Tori and I often, when we talk about divorce, we say, oh, they cook a lot of fish.
Oh, my mom, honestly. she-
Miss her a lot. We're going on a
I have
field trip.
so many stories about my mom. She's like very,
I do too.
yeah, she,
Yeah. Yep.
she's something all right.
There was a time, your mom and I were on the ALC together for a couple of years, and one year we had to vote on something pretty seriously.
Okay.
We voted on something. It was a big vote. And afterwards, she came up to me and she was like, "What did we just vote on?" She had no idea.
My mother.
Love her.
We
So
make fun of
too.
her
Love them
so
both.
much.
Love them both. A lot of fun. I don't think I have any more divorce stories for today's class, but I will. Okay, have we grasped the 3 Ds of staging? Declutter, personalize, define. Let's talk about what I'm going to call fancy staging. Okay, when we talk about staging, we're talking about like making a house look pretty, right? So there are some resources for that, and that we're still in controversial territory. Okay, so prices have come up so much in Denton. I would say, okay, so on a listing under $350,000, under $350,000, right, which is not many of them anymore, but for a listing under $350,000, if the home was vacant, okay, I might recommend you do virtual staging, okay? Is anyone familiar with virtual staging? Okay, I think it's 4109 Auburn. I'm gonna try to, my memory's not really good. I don't remember my spouse's names most morning. But let's see, 4109, let's see if I'm right. No, I'm an idiot. So how about, I'll go the long way. I do want to show you all this example. So let's just type in the street name, Auburn. And then I'm going to go down and put my MLS ID right here. And let's go look at everything that I have sold on Auburn, which should be exactly one house. Yes. 4209 Auburn. See, my dyslexia kicked in. It was really close. Okay. This is a house where I did virtual staging. I love this house. This is the one where I made a bedroom down there where there wasn't one. We'll see. Okay. So we're going to talk about photo ordering here in a second. It's going to be an important topic. Okay. Let's go. Okay. So any comments about this photo?
So did you just,
It's incredible. Perfect.
did you actually place everything virtually? I mean, at virtual staging would make sense.
I
right?
didn't. So there is no furniture in this room. This is a vacant room. It's empty. So what I did was I took my photographer's image and I sent the photo to a company based in New Zealand called Box Brownie. Boxbrownie.com. Now you might think, what the hell does that mean? I don't know. But that's the company, boxbrownie.com, based out of New Zealand. And for $32 per photo, they will digitally impose furniture into the photos. And by the way, there are other companies that do this. Most of the other companies I've seen do this looks like crap. Okay.
How'd you find this company?
That's a great question. And I don't remember the answer. I've been using them for years.
Okay.
So I don't, I'll come back to that.
Okay.
This, you asked the best questions, by the way. You do. I was talking to Julie about that yesterday. I was like, if you could just sit in the back, it's all of my classes. So like I said, these are digitally imposed. By the way, the fire is not even real.
I was gonna say, did they put a fire
Yes,
in
they
there?
put fire in there. That one looks a little bit more cheesy. You can kind of tell that that's not. Yeah, so none of that furniture is real. That's not real. There's more.
The kitchen is awesome.
It really was. That's not real.
Was there more? This is the room that I turned into a bedroom, by the way. I guess that was all. So anyway, that
Virtual staging, okay? The reason I say only for 350,000 and under is because the commission on a property that is beyond $350,000 is enough for you to afford staging. Now, we have a strict rule here at KW Denton, which is if you're a new agent and you don't have a marketing budget, which by the way, staging falls under the marketing category, it does, then you don't spend money. You don't spend money, okay? There's plenty of free ways to lead generate. There's plenty of free ways to go and get business. So I'm not telling you to go and spend money to stage today. I'm not, okay? When you have a marketing budget, and when and if it's in the budget, you can pay for staging, if you choose to. It's a value that I offer to my clients, okay? So now let me show you one that I actually physically staged. Dyslexia, I don't remember where,
Couldn't
I
tell
don't
you.
actually have dyslexia, but some days I convince myself that I do. I was in the gifted and talented program. I don't know how they let me into that. So we'll just do the same philosophy, but I remember it was on Holland. This is kind of over near neck to the woods, huh?
My neck.
Yeah, well, it's in Oakland. So, okay,
This has actual stuff. This is a condo, by the way, which is why there's no front of the house.
So that there's actual real stuff in here. So we can see how like that, how it looks different, like it looks like there's actual stuff. We see that. Okay. So let me get into the bedroom. Okay, so that's I love the cord on the left. That's my favorite part.
So that's how you know it's really real.
So the difference between virtual staging and physical staging is that virtual staging, you can see it in the pictures, but you show up in person and it's empty, okay? The way that I always paint that is I'm like, look, you can see what the possibilities are online, and then you walk in and you can imagine your stuff in there. Wasn't that a great sales pitch? Whenever you've got big houses, above 350,000 square feet, these 3,000 square foot mansions, they feel really stark if they don't have stuff in them, okay? So if your client is willing to pay to have it physically staged, if you are capable of paying to have it physically staged, you should do it. You should do it. Houses that are staged literally sell for 12% more than houses that are empty. 12%. Do 12% at 300,000. Y'all, that's not a small number. That's a freaking huge number. Okay. So what I'm telling you is that beyond that $350,000 mark, the commission you make is what there's plenty of margin in that commission to pay for staging. Now you're probably thinking, Thomas, how much does staging cost? Okay. I showed you the virtual staging. That's $32 per photo. Okay. $32 a photo. So you could stage 5 photos for under $200. Okay. I don't do all of them. Don't do every picture of every room. Okay. But $200 and you can do 5 or 6 photos. The physical staging, if the house has some, hold on, one more example. I don't know. You guys hate my examples? Do you like them?
No, I
Okay,
appreciate that.
okay, good.
completely.
You guys just let me know if I'm boring you.
One more example.
Yes, this is actually a very recent sale. Okay, yeah, Bishop. Okay.
This one was vacant.
The owner lived in Colorado. So, okay. I'm trying to find one good photo of like the living area. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that works. Okay, so whenever I walked into this house, I'd never met the client, by the way. He lived in Colorado. I contacted him by email. He was like, yes, I would love for you to sell it. Here's the key code to get in. I never met the guy. I did meet him at the very end. This was in there. This was in there. This was in there. So bulky furniture, these bar stools, he had bulky furniture. There wasn't decor, but there was furniture in there, right? And I walked in and I went, wow, it's really brown in here. A lot of brown. And this was an expired listing, right? So someone else had already tried to sell a pretty good real estate agent, a pretty well-known agent at Century 21. I mean, as well as you can be known at Century 21. So I
had a comment and I kept it to myself, so be proud. So anyway, so it was an expired listing, and so I walked in and I was like, I think we could stage this. So I guess there's 3 levels of staging, right? There's virtual staging that costs $32 a photo. There's sort of warmth and throw pillows and tchotchkes. That's like this level, and then there's like I'm staging a vacant property. Okay, this tchotchke stuff, this cost me $700. Okay, it cost $700 for them to come in and put throw pillows on the couch and put centerpieces and add wall art. They added this. They added these Don Perrier bottles and made everything look semi-lived in. Added the throw to the chair. They left 2 books in the house, by the way, which are now in my office. You might say, Thomas, don't you want to let them know? No, I got my free staging books. I paid $800. I deserve 2 books with no text in them. So, yeah, I guess that was all of them. Sell a lot of condos. So if it's vacant, like that second one that I showed y'all, that cost me $1,900. Okay. Now that was a $450,000 house. The commission on that is $13,500. Okay, so do 13,500 minus 1,900. I could afford that for my client. That was also an expired listing, right? And so anytime we have listings that are in trouble, they have failed to sell in the past, we always have to give it some extra oomph. And so I'm always willing to put my money where my mouth is and take the risk with my client. Some people make their clients pay them back at closing. It's the cost of doing business. For me, I don't do that. You can do whatever you want. It's your business. You are a business owner. You do you. So do we have questions about staging, like the costs, when we would do what? It's obviously a judgment call for you. I have asked other agents before too, by the way. I've had them like, hey, will you go in this property? Do you think it needs to be staged? Do you think it needs a lot? Do you think it just needs tchotchkes? Lori Hauser, I've asked her, I actually asked her about this property. She was going to come in and help me, and then ultimately I just decided, the company that I use for staging is called the Design Quad. The Design Quad, yeah. You can go to their website. I use their Facebook page. That's where all their information is. There's another one called Model My Home that I would like to try out. They do a pretty good job. I see their business cards and other higher end listings from time to time. I don't know what their pricing structure is. So, by the way, they leave this stuff in the house for 6 months, right? So after 6 months, you can re-up it. You can re-lease the furniture. I've never had to stage properties myself, right? This one was on the market for, it was a condo, so for 13 days. 13 days was a long time in my book, but wasn't bad. This property, whenever you walked out the front door, you were literally about 100 yards from the Dallas North Tollway in Frisco. So you can imagine what that sounded like. So inside, it was kind of, you could just hear a dull hum, and then when you open the doors, it was like, oh, cool. I wonder why it didn't sell. So anyway.
Do they stage outside too, like if they have a patio or deck area?
I don't think so. I've never asked them that before, but that's a good question. Like around a pool. Yeah. I bet they do. I bet they do. That's a good question. She has the best questions. I bet they will. I hadn't thought about it. Yeah, I bet they do. Okay, so I think we've covered staging. Do you have any other questions about staging before we move on to the second section, which is marketing? My favorite section. My favorite section to teach, by the way, is marketing.
So
We're going to spend.
if it's a complete vacant house, how do you stage it? Do you bring some furniture or?
I don't. The Design Quad will, or Model My Home. That's what I would do. Yeah, I don't bring nothing. Okay. Let's go to page 16, and we're going to spend a lot of time on this page because I've got a lot of opinions, and you're about to hear all of them. At some point in history, I've written a 4 and a 3 on this page, so that's significant of something. If you're playing the lottery today, 4 and 3. Okay, market the listing. You're all about to get my opinions, and you're either going to love them or you're going to hate them, but regardless, they're well informed. Okay. So step number 1 of marketing the listing is to price the home competitively with the current market and price trends. Okay. Now you guys took a class yesterday called Price the Listing, not yesterday, Wednesday. called Price the Listing. I assume you guys got a lot of really great information on, by the way, Jay Acker taught that. But I don't know if y'all know who Jay really is, but like, that's not like a small deal for Jay to teach a class. Like Jay closes more real estate than God. That's a really significant figure to have at the front of a classroom. So it's awesome. We had a cancellation and Jay jumped in, and I'm very grateful for that. Anytime I get a chance to take a class with Jay, I do it. Jay takes classes for me, which I always find to be hilarious. And then he walks up to me afterwards, he goes, man, I got a lot of good stuff out of that. I'm just like, you're being sarcastic. He claims not. But anyway, but we're very, very grateful. So if you guys see Jay in the hallway, just make sure you thank him because he didn't have to do that. So we're going to talk. So I appreciate that on Wednesday y'all talked about price. Today we're going to talk about pricing strategy, right? It's 5 syllables. It's more complicated. And so the best way I know to teach on this subject is to ask some questions. So I'm going to write right now. I'm going to write. Let's do this. Okay, you comp a house. You find that that house is worth roughly $350,000, okay? You have some options on how you price that property. There's a strategy around how we price properties, right? So I'm just gonna take an opinion. Nobody is wrong, by the way, okay? I'm gonna take your opinions and then we're gonna talk about it. So I would like everyone to vote. How would you price the property? Would you price it A, $349,000, B, $349,900, C, $349,999, or D, $350,000? So just raise a hand for A, 1, okay? Raise a hand for B, everyone else. And so then I'm just gonna put my vote here, okay? So, I'm gonna draw a different figure here. Okay, so let's just do, okay. So let's pretend for a second that this dot over here is 300. This dot here is 350, and this dot here is $400,000, okay? Now I wanna pretend, obviously it doesn't work this way, but I'm gonna pretend, for example's sake, that between $300,000 and $350,000, there's 100 buyers. Okay, there's 100 buyers looking between $300,000 and $350,000. Okay, between $350,000 and $400,000, there's another 100 buyers. Okay, so answer me this: which one of these price points up here would get 200 buyers?
The 350,
Why?
because that is within both of their price range, whether it be the lower or the higher.
So, whenever we were talking about this with Jay, he had mentioned that pricing is sometimes better to do in the 900s because whenever I don't know if it was MLS or Zillow or one of them, they don't hit the 350 mark. They'll go to like the 49 or the 9 point. And so he was saying that it's better to price it at the 900. Am I explaining that correctly?
Otherwise you miss out on people that maybe their budget is
Yes.
350.
Yeah, so he
or
was
lower.
saying that in that case, it's better to do it that way. So
Okay, I'm going to show you guys all something, and I hate to prove someone wrong. It really upsets me. It really does. But we're gonna prove we're gonna do some research here and see if that happens to be true. So we're gonna go to a website that most of y'all have probably never heard of.
Zillow.
And it's called Zillow.com. It's this website where it doesn't matter. Okay, so now I'm just gonna click on buy up here. Okay, I'm gonna click on buy, and I'm gonna click on price. Something really, really bizarre happens whenever I click price. I don't type the price that I'm interested in looking at. I can, but I'm probably not going to. I'm probably gonna click something like this, okay? And then I'm probably gonna click on something like this, okay? Now, if my house is priced at $299,900, I don't get seen. Okay. Now, by the example you just gave, let's say my house is priced at $399,999.99. Okay. I get seen. And I'm the most expensive house in this price range. So what happens here is there's literally only one price. Y'all know that I go after expired listings for a living, right? Okay. I did $2.5 million in expired listings in the last 30 days. So I've done it. I did time or two. There's only one price point that gets the maximum exposure here. If you're priced here or here or here, you only get seen by these 100 people, and you're the most expensive house in this price range. So what happens is that you've naturally chosen to market your property only to the people who can barely afford it. You had a question?
This is actually kind of a side point,
Mhm.
but when you're looking at expired, when you're trying to get a hold of the homeowner instead, be it the MLS or even Zillow, I'm not sure where to find that number.
Mhm.
So if you're willing to share your secret, that'd be awesome.
I email them.
Okay.
Who do you email? The owner? I think that's what she's trying to say is she can't find that information either.
You want me to tell you where I find the emails?
Yeah, I have it expired. I would like to go after right now and I don't see the information. that you're
You don't have to, but.
I will tell you that most of the information sources I pay for.
Okay.
And they're not cheap. But there are some free ones. There's 3 free ones that I can think of. Okay, and I'll tell you what they are right now. The first is called Remine, right? You've probably used Remine through MLS, right? It's in the links. So Remine is one of those. The second and third that I use, you'll have to go and download a Google Chrome extension. If you're not using Google Chrome, hi, it's 2021, it's time to get on Google Chrome. There are 2 Google Chrome extensions. They are free. They are called Contact Out, all one word. And the other one is called SalesQL. Download those. You will have to give them an enterprise email address. So if you don't own your email address, congratulations, it's 2021, you're a business owner, you get to own your own email address. So if you don't own first name, last name, real estate, or the name, if you haven't come up with a name for your company, it's time to do that. So I own evesrealtygroup.com. So I'm Thomas at evesrealtygroup.com. So, and by the way, that costs me $3 per month. You can afford it. You can. This was $7.09. So you could afford, I could got 2 email addresses for the cost of this coffee.
Contact Out or SalesQL.
Yeah.
And Remine.
So what you'll do with those websites is you go to a website that you guys probably haven't heard of called LinkedIn, linkedin.com. And if you can find your expired owner on LinkedIn, which we find about 90% of them on LinkedIn, then those programs, you just click them, they pop up right up here. You go to LinkedIn, find their page, click on the little link to Contact Out or SalesQL, it will pull up their email address. It's like in 90% of the time. Sometimes it doesn't find it. Now, here's a mastery tip. If the LinkedIn doesn't pull their email address, but it shows you where they work, let's say they work at Frito-Lay, okay? You can go to a website called hunter.io, and on hunter.io, you can search fritolay.com, and it will show you the email addresses of everyone who works at fritolay.com. So at least I can get their corporate email. Thomas, do people have a problem with you emailing their corporate email? People email my KW email about non-business all the time.
Yes, I do.
So
Awesome.
hashtag get over it.
Awesome.
So mastery tip. So the pricing strategy bit, folks, I'm not trying to call anybody else wrong. I really am not. I had a expired listing just about 6 months ago that was priced at $390,000. I increased their price to $425,000. I increased it. They were on the market for 273 days. I increased their price to $425,000. I had it sold in 3. If you think my pricing strategy is wrong, I love you. You're probably just not right about that. There are ways, by the way, I've done it to run numbers through MLS, and you can do it for different cities and different properties, but basically look at everything that's priced between $390 and $399, $99, $99, and look at what the list to sales price ratio on those is on those, and then look at everything in that same zip code or city or municipality at 400,000 and see what the list to sales price ratio is. Usually there's about a 2% variance. So I'm gonna get you 2% more by pricing on the 400,000 than being priced between 390 and 399. Now at that price point, that's an extra $8,000. Do you think my strategy is better? Probably is. The 9s are awesome for retail. If you walk into the grocery store and there's sugar for $3.99 and there's sugar for $4, you're gonna buy the one with $3.99. It's cheaper and sugar is a commodity, right? Sugar. The way we search for real estate online, the 9s don't make any sense. I clean house with these people all day, every day.
That's smart.
I know. Oh. It's exhausting.
So humble.
I literally was about to say the exact same thing.
Bummer. Okay. I am erasing it because this is semi-proprietary. This was Super Ignite. I had an agent, I think 4 years ago, who walked up to me after the class. She was like, "That's the most valuable thing I've ever learned. Thank you so much." And then she went and took her first listing at $299,900. She's still in this office to this day. I don't mention her name.
As long as it's not my mother.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
Your mother and I had that conversation too. And I love her.
I told her you taught a class earlier, and she was like, "Oh, Thomas."
Love her. Literally my biggest fan. I love her. Adore her.
I knew about you way before I ever met you. Like, she'd be at the house and she'd be talking about you. I was like,
Most people know about Thomas, whatever.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad.
Police officers with radar guns, for example. Okay. So, all right. Number 2 is advise sellers on how to attract buyers by showing their home in the best possible light. That's called staging. We just went over that for like 45 minutes. So we're not going into more details. Place for sale signs with property flyers easily accessible to drive-by buyers. So this was copyrighted in 2017, and it just suggested flyer boxes in front of the house. So,
Ours was copyrighted in 2019, so that's that.
wow, okay. So see, I've got some dated material here. So no. Have you guys ever been to the morgue across, Eddie Halliday across the street? So that's a strategy that they would employ. And there's a reason that they have such low market share that they don't appear on the reports anymore. So no, here's the problem. I don't pay for any marketing that I can't track. Okay. So if I put a soggy flyer box in front of a house, I don't know if a kid is walking home from school and making it to a paper airplane and then littering in my fine community. And I don't know if a burglar is taking the flyer to determine if the house is vacant. Maybe he can come steal the copper out of the AC system later. I don't know, right? What I do know is that it looks like I'm from the 1990s, and I'm not going to do that, right? So my suggestion is to get signs. If you're going to get signs to collect leads, you should get one where there's a 24-hour text number, or you should get one where there's a 24-hour 800 number that they can call or text to get information on the property, and you can collect their information and pre-qualify them, okay? So I use, my CRM of choice is LionDesk, by the way. We will eventually make the switch to Command. I'm waiting for Command to add like one more feature. It's a very specific feature. As soon as Command adds it, I will switch over to Command. So love Command, and I'm still with LionDesk for the moment. LionDesk offers me something called short codes. So I have a custom number through LionDesk, and if you were to text ERG01, ERG02, ERG03, et cetera, to that custom number, it will shoot back information on that property, right? So I have sign writers that say, text ERG02 to this number for 24-hour information on this property, right? Now, are you ready for the mastery tip? You ready for Super Ignite? There's no information. Real estate agents, if Zillow has taught us nothing, it's that we gave away too much of our info, okay, for free. And so now we're paying for it. We didn't, the National Association of Realtors did. They're learning, kind of slowly, they're learning. Don't give away your data without getting something from the people who are trying to get it first, okay? So whenever you text any of my short codes, which implies that you want information on that property, you get a text message that says this. It says, thank you so much for texting on the latest listing from the Eves Realty Group. All property information will be recorded within the next 24 hours. For more information, call the agent on call at 940-252-1404. And there's a link to my website. That's what they get. The moment that they get that text message, I also get a text message. And it says, this phone number just called on your listing. Now I get to call or text that person and go, hey, Tom Steve at the Eves Realty Group. I'm so sorry. We have been so busy selling listings. We haven't updated any of the information on that property yet. So sorry. We just put that sign out this morning. So are you looking to buy a house? I asked them 4 questions. Are you looking to buy a house? What's your timeline? Are you pre-qualified with a lender? Are you looking with a realtor? And now I have a new client. We convert on our sign calls at a rate of 1 to 4. So every 4 sign calls I get a new buyer. It's worth it. You should do it.
So what software do you use for the text?
LionDesk. There are other companies that aren't as robust as LionDesk that you can hire. Whenever I was with Salisa, I think it was called Text to Sell, text the number 2 sell, text to sell. Bunch of different companies, and they're cheap. They're very inexpensive.
But you're gonna stop using them once you can use Command.
So Command allows you to do that too. Short codes to a custom number through Twilio, they allow you to do that. I'll just have to switch the phone, which is fine. Okay, so but we're not doing property flyers in front of the house in a box. Well, we're not gonna do that. Anytime I see them inside the road, I go, oh, precious. Oh, bless their hearts. Oh, you know their back is killing them. Okay, number 4, respond to all buyer inquiries immediately. So I used to write duh next to that, and yet I think, gosh, this is becoming aged information, but I think it was at Mega Camp 2015, 2016. 32% of inquiries from buyers never get called back. They never get called back. Only 5% get answered like immediately. So like if somebody calls your phone about like a real estate inquiry, only 5% of those inquiries get answered. And then it was like, I think 18% got called back, like within an hour. What you'll find is that if you really just want to set yourself apart in your business, just answer your phone. So this is mass free tip. We're doing super good. I don't like answering my phone. I'm a millennial. Just text me. But my number is on my signs. People do call. So now they don't call my cell phone. They call my office phone, which routes to my assistant, whose name is Jessel, who's in the Philippines. And she answers them. She has an exceptional American accent. She says, hello, this is Jessel with the Eves Realty Group. How may I help you today? And they tell her, and then she directs the call appropriately. But it needs to be directed to my cell phone, and it directs to my cell phone, and it comes from Jessel's number, so I know to answer it. So, mastery tip. You don't have to do that today. I'm just saying that that's where it could get. I understand. I don't enjoy answering my phone. I don't want to talk to you. And I love you, and I don't want to talk to you. My pet peeve is people who leave me messages that say, hey, it's so-and-so, call me back. I'm like, why did you even leave a message? Tell me why you're calling.
I really like realtors that are like, you can call, you can leave me a message, or you can text me. I'm like, oh, thank God, I'll just text you.
Just text me. I think that millennials and the I generation are wrong about 99% of things, but that one thing they are right about. I'm not going to be available at all times to take your call. I'm not going to get stuck on the phone with you. No, just text me. So, okay. Optimize the home's internet. Okay, so one thing that I'm going to put here, you can just put a bracket around 5, 6, and 7, and put, this is the same thing. So we are very, we lack the perspective sometimes, and so I'm going to give you the perspective. We are very blessed and highly favored to have something called syndication in our area. And syndication means we put our listing on the MLS and it appears like 700 other places within an hour. It's not like that everywhere. Some places you put it on the MLS, then you put it on your website, and you put it on Zillow, and you put it on Trulia, you put it on Realtor.com, and you put it on your app, and just So here, just put it on the MLS. It goes to all those places. It's really cool. Did you know that? It doesn't happen like that everywhere.
I did not
It
know.
doesn't
that.
happen like that everywhere. Yeah, it doesn't happen like that everywhere. So,
Bless Texas.
yeah, we do have a pretty awesome MLS here. People say that it's very technologically deficient. If any of you have ever had to use Tempo, which was the MLS before Matrix, you would know that it's not deficient. They're still using Tempo in Houston, by the way.
When did they switch over from Tempo to?
Literally like the month I started in real estate, which was like August of 2014. So I literally showed up and they were like, here's the new MLS. And I was like, great. Stack of papers.
You don't.
I don't, oh, you got it? Okay. So, cool. Create flyers and comment cards for the viewers of your property. No, no, we're not gonna do that. So here's the thing. Just imagine for a second. Now, this is what they used to do back in the 90s. They would have cards like on the bar in the listing, and the agent or the potential home purchaser would come in and they would see, they would look at the property and they would have a comment card where they could leave comments about the property. So they would write down what they thought of the property, and then the seller would walk into the house and they would go, oh, bullshit. And then you as the real estate agent would be like, I don't know what's not selling. And then meanwhile, you've got 27 comment cards that say something like, house smells of cat urine. But you would never know because you didn't get any of the comments. So we have a new program called Showing Time that sends out feedback requests. You've probably noticed this if you've shown anything. So no, we don't need to do comment cards. Flyers are cool. By the way, let me show. I'm gonna promote Command.
Do it.
Can you
I
believe
love
it?
that.
Diana's
that
gonna be
for
so
me.
proud. I do property flyers for my listings. Well, I don't, but Julian does. I don't do much anymore. I teach classes. I haze people. M. Sanchez, who's that?
Melissa Sanchez.
How bizarre that that's the default. Also, she's not here.
Isn't it a fun world?
I'm
to
so
live in?
uncomfortable.
Every time I get on this computer, it's a different thing I need to fix that I'm never going to fix.
We're playing a game of what's my password. Wow, that was pretty good. Let's go into designs. So we have the capability of doing 11 by 17, I think 11 by 17, 11 by 17 flyers, bifold flyers. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you. Let's go into print. I'm going to show you all what mine look like. What I love about designs is that you can custom. Oh, okay, so here's the one for that property that I staged. Though this had the old staging in it. So you can do 11 by 17 flyers. That's a bifold. It's huge. It prints out on a huge piece of paper, but you bifold it and it looks like a cute little booklet. And so this would be the back of it. That was my buyer's agent, Olivia. Remember Olivia? Did you ever meet
I've
Olivia?
never met Olivia.
Super pretty. But page 2, she has since moved to KW McKinney, RIP. So over on the right, that's the front of the flyer. There on the back, that's the back of the flyer. And then whenever you open it up and look on the inside, it looks like it looks like this. So this is a really cool example that I like to bring to my clients and just go, yeah, we do like super high quality flyer. And by the way, we print these on our printers and they look great. You can print them on glossy 11 by 17 paper. We have some here that's not glossy. It's not very pretty, but you can go and buy some 11 by 17 paper that's really pretty. Look, it's Melanie. Oh, RIP. She's not dead, by the way. She's dead to us. Anyway, property flyers. I do property flyers. Nobody picks them up. It doesn't matter, but they're a fun thing to show to your seller and go, professional branding. So sure, do that. Okay, so distribute just listed notices to neighbors, encouraging them to tell family and friends about the home. Okay, so I have opinions about this. Your distribution method matters, okay? So when you see the word distribute, what do you think that means?
Handing out.
I don't think any of them.
Everyone had a different opinion, and that's kind of my point. Let me just, I am all for peppering the neighborhood with flyers or door hangers or whatever. I do not knock on the doors because where I live in 2021, you're basically begging to be killed or yelled at on a ring doorbell. If door knocking is your strategy, I love you, good luck, and I hope you do really well, and it's not mine. So I'm not discouraging you, I'm just telling you it's not what I do. And yet if you want to pay kids from the local high school to go and put flyers and door hangers all over the neighborhood about your new listing, that's cool, do that. I think that makes great sense, you should do that, good idea. A lot of people choose to do direct mail for just listed notices, and that's awesome. Direct mail is expensive, right? It's 50 cents per mailing. I mean, if you do mass marketing where it says, current resident or whatever, I think that's 38 cents or something like that for a postcard. You could do that, and awesome. Just know that generally you will see no return on investment on that unless you do it 8 times in 8 weeks. Okay, so if you're going to send out just listed, cool. Hopefully you're also going to send out a just sold and 6 other pieces of communication. Otherwise, you're not going to see an ROI. Okay, so oftentimes we get people like, I sent out a postcard and no one responded to me. It's like, you have to do 8 times in 8 weeks. That's the metric, that's the standard. So if you're going to do direct mail, awesome. You're probably not going to get an ROI unless you do it 8 times in 8 weeks. You mentioned something about Facebook, right? There is something kind of a blend between that and it's kind of from the guerrilla marketing book, but it's called the digital door knock. I do the digital door knock all the time. So the digital door knock is where I will pull either email addresses or cell phone numbers for an entire neighborhood, and they will all receive a text or an email blast about what we've got going on in their neighborhood. Now here comes her question, which is, where are you getting this information?
Yeah.
Okay. So I use a program called Cole Realty Resource.
Say that one more time.
Cole, C-O-L-E, Realty Resource. Now ask me how much it costs.
How much does it cost?
I don't know. No,
Let me mark out Julian.
I think it's expensive. I think it's $199 a month. I think I could have made it up. It's no more than that, but it's expensive. It's expensive, but we pay for a lot of expensive stuff.
Didn't Cammie mention that she does something similar but on command or something like that?
Diana teaches that class, the reverse prospecting class, but I don't think it pulls.
You can't get phone numbers or emails,
Right.
but Wilson direct mailers free to everybody.
It's direct mail. Yeah,
Okay.
I know exactly what she's talking about.
Okay.
Diana teaches it. She
Yep.
taught it at an office meeting. Maybe.
Yeah, I swear, because it was Cammie Hobbs that came in and she was talking about her, I don't know if I'm the only one that's remember, and she mentioned that whenever she puts a house on the market, it's like a text message.
To the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, but I don't know how she mentioned that she did that.
I don't know that
think
she
it was that
did.
expensive.
I think it was direct mail. I
It
don't-
was,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
I know she sends 5 postcards out.
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe it's a
Yeah.
postcard. I remember something about a text message. but-
So I do it through Cole Realty. It's expensive, but it's the most efficient for us. It's what we know how to use. So now, if we're sending out the text message, you might say, Thomas, how do you keep from violating the do not call list, the Can't Spam Act, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I don't.
And you should scrub the do not call lists and just adhere to all the TCPA standards. Thank you.
That was Lane's.
Not getting fined
Mhm.
at this point.
By the way, if you ever receive a fine from the FTC, you should just respond with a very polite no. Just saying.
And scrub those lists.
And well, here's but where would you scrub the list?
You can find them on KW Didn't Live in the links tab.
For which area codes?
I don't know, Diana puts them in there.
So you really couldn't enforce the speed limit without being told what the speed limit is. And that's sort of what the FTC does. They sort of enforce a regulation without giving you the resources to access the information that you're not supposed to be doing. So the best defense, if anyone ever says like you violated this, is to say,
You show me.
no, real estate agents are cheating. Okay, great though. We won't get into that topic, and it's really important that we talk about it. One of these days, we'll have a mastery class over that. We'll bring the end of the road back up and we'll talk about it. Okay. Target your marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in this neighborhood. Now, okay, I just read that sentence. Let's read it again. Target your marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in this neighborhood. What does that mean? So let's say I was listing a house in River Oaks. Okay, that's a Duncan neighborhood. I'm just kidding. That's a really nice neighborhood over here in Denton. It's very popular. So let's just say that I have a listing in River Oaks and I want to target active real estate agents who are selling real estate in River Oaks. How do I do that?
Well, you reach out to the people who have sold in those areas previously,
How do you find that?
the MLS.
You want to demonstrate?
No.
Couple different ways we can go about that. You could just run comps, right? And then you could go and look at the previous sold days. That would be the slow way. There is a way that you can go up here into market reports, okay, and look at agent market share by listed, right? And I could look at residential properties in, let's say, our popular zip code here, 76210. Over the course of, let's say the last 90 days. So April 16th through now. Okay. And so we can see who's selling all the listings in 76210 right now. Larry Delzell. You ever heard of Larry?
No.
I've never heard of Larry either, but Larry is apparently who's selling all the listings. Now, do we recognize this one?
I can't see.
Like Chrissy Maloof.
Sorry, that's Chrissy Maloof. That's Chrissy Maloof. The fifth one is Carissa Acker. That sound familiar? Okay. The seventh one is Brian Rybowicz, who used to be here. Eighth one is Brad McKissick, right? These people, this sounds familiar, right? So I would probably approach those people. So it says, to contact active real estate agents, and I would think, duh, and yet there's actually a specific way to go about it. There's actually an even better way to go about it, which is called reverse prospecting. I wish I could demonstrate it, but all of my listings are in contract, and so it doesn't let me demonstrate it. But if you go into MLS to your active listings, you can literally put a checkbox right next to your active listing and click a button at the bottom that says reverse prospect. Reverse prospect brings up a giant list of every real estate agent who has a buyer on the portal that matches with the criteria of your listing. So that's a great way to know who's got an interested buyer in your listing. Reverse prospect. Should do it.
Don't you have to enable that also, like whenever you're putting someone as a buyer, that you're
I
allowed?
found that it's checked.
Okay.
You can uncheck it. I don't ever uncheck it.
Okay.
Because I don't mind if you reach out to me and say, hey, you might have a buyer. Mostly because I'm in the market for a house, and so sure, I'd love for you to call. Okay. Include the home in your company MLS tours, allowing other agents to see the home for yourself. Are we doing MLS tours?
Not yet, hopefully soon.
Okay. We used to do that, and it was cool. So I'm trying to think if I should use the politically correct version of this.
No.
I was waiting for my conscience to speak, and just
It's
So
fine.
anyway,
It's fine. It's not recorded or anything. Just go for it.
what I discovered from doing MLS tours for a while was that generally the agents that were attending the home tours were the least productive of the office. And I don't mean that these were bad people. I just mean that if we were to add up all of their dollar production together, we could maybe afford a sandwich at McDonald's, but probably maybe not. However, what I also noticed is that people start to find buyers where their reticular activating system works. So have you ever been sitting in a restaurant and then like 100 yards away, somebody will say the sentence, "I'm over there, let's sell a house," and you're like you're hard of hearing and you're really distracted and you're thinking about, you're having a conversation about something completely different, but you go, oh God, I heard that and I know exactly who it was. And so that's, the reason that happens is something called your reticular activating system. It's in the back of your head and it literally tells your brain what to focus on. It decides what's important to you. And so what you'll find is that if you can bring somebody into a piece of real estate and go, hi, I'm selling this, look around, they go, and now the next time they hear somebody say, I'm really interested in a house with rooster wallpaper, they'll be like, I was just in a house with rooster wallpaper. So what I'm actually doing whenever I put my house on MLS Tour is I'm training a whole bunch of reticular activating systems to look and listen for people that are interested in buying my listing. So that's what it's for. So as many RAS for short, as many RASs as I can get through my listing, the better. So that's the purpose. That's the real meat of the MLS tours. And sometimes you get a nice little home of the month sign that you can put in the front yard. It's very cute.
Is it just like almost like a video tour that you put on your MLS and they look at it, or what is it?
Oh, you didn't know. So now home tours are literally where we get all of these real estate agents together here at the office, and we all get in our cars and so we do north side one week and then we do south side the next week.
Okay.
And so we'll go, north side, by the way, means north of 35, south side means south of 35. And so agents can put their listings on. Now, in a world where MLS listings are selling in like 5 minutes, like with 25 offers, these just really aren't necessary. But in a regular market, you might put your listing on MLS Tour. And so you'll all go out and we'll go and you'll take 25, 30 realtors through your listing. You go, you'd be Vanna White. And just like, look, is it, you have no idea who Vanna White is. She was on a show called The Price is Right.
Oh.
It's the Wheel of Fortune. So, and she would walk around and do this.
I made lots of money.
Yes.
It's my dream job.
I know. We just. Vanna White. So anyway, very talented. So anyway, you get to Vanna White, one of your listings, and people go and and then they get to leave feedback too. So what's really cool is that if your seller didn't agree with you on like something about staging or something about price, you can also bring those 30 real estate agents in and tell them, hey, please write something about how overpriced it is. Hey, please write something about how it smells like cat urine. Please write something about how they should paint that wall in the living room. Like, so you can put some get some things done that way. So that was the value of doing the MLS tour too. So will be the value. So we'll bring them back one of these decades. We stopped them during COVID, and also we don't have any inventory. We're literally just like, hi, I just got a listing. Oh, no, I already have 25 offers. I'm sorry. Like that's what's happening right now. So they're not necessary. If you have a home that could go on MLS tour, it's probably overpriced. That's just okay. Create an open house schedule and market and host the open house to promote the property to prospective buyers. Yeah, you should definitely do that. Open houses are awesome, especially if you know how to work them. We should do a whole mastery class on open houses. We used to, but Trisha Andrews taught. She's not here. We need to find someone who's doing mastery of open houses and have them teach class. Open houses are great if you know how to do them. Target active buyers and investors in your database who are looking for homes in this price range and area. So we'll just write duh next to that one. What that basically says is if you know someone who might want to buy your piece of real estate, you should tell them about it. Pretty straightforward. Provide the seller with weekly updates detailing your marketing efforts, including comments from prospective buyers and agents who have visited the home. So that's a fabulous segue into the third section here, which is communication. So we're going to go into that here. Let's look at, before we move on to that, let's look at page 17 real quick. I'm reading some of this for the first time. My apologies. Pricing, so the marketing action steps, okay, pricing. If the home is priced properly according to the market comps, if not, is it too high or too low? What would make you think this? Can you think of like Okay. I have to ask it, we're doing super tonight. Okay. Let's say, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's just say that, you know, we've got a house that's on the market for, oh God, I don't know, $800,000. It's $800,000. And we're not getting any showings. What would you do?
I would run another comp and make sure that pricing for square footage is correct, as well as the year and the land, and see what updates have been placed on the property. Any kind of criminal history within the background of the property, even though we're really not supposed to, we kind of have to have that there because.
Never
if
heard that
you're-
perspective. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Let's say, for example, has someone died at the house,
It's called a stigmatized property.
right? Does it stink? When, is it laid out correctly? Does it have carpet instead of hardwood, and the rest of the properties around it have hardwood, true hardwood, not the vinyl, which,
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Let's say that you go through all that and you discover that the property is priced appropriately. Based on all of your research, it still appears to be, oh man, it's priced appropriately. It's actually a steal. Now what do you do?
Where are you marketing? Are you marketing yourself in the right location? Are you marketing to people who have a lower income area instead of the places that have the higher income, the $1 million homes?
Where are those people looking?
Right. Where are they looking? Have they thought about your area? Have you knocked on those doors?
You're on the right track of where I'm going with this. So I actually had a listing in Lakewood, which is a bougie area in East Dallas. We had it listed at, it was actually listed at 1.5 million. Okay. And I was getting showings. I think I had five showings in the first 2 weeks it was on market, and nobody was interested in offering on it. And it was just kind of like, man, what are we missing? House is priced appropriately. And I knew it was. I knew the area really, really well. So I did something pretty bold, and I've done this at least 3 times since then, and it just works. It's something that I call a listing boost. So here's how a listing boost works. I raised the price from 1.5 million to 2 million for 3 days. And then I dropped it back to 1.5 million. Now, we must question why this would work. I'll tell you why it works. There was a crowd of bougie buyers looking somewhere in that range between 1.5 million to 2 million, to whom that house was not on their radar. House wasn't on their radar. Didn't fall into the brackets. Just didn't work out. They just didn't see it, right? They didn't see it. They didn't notice it. And then all of a sudden, one day, it pops up. And they all saw it, and they all thought, huh, that's overpriced. And then, one night, out of nowhere, it has a 25% price reduction, a $500,000 price reduction, representing enormous motivation, right? And causing those bougie home buyers to go, well, it wasn't worth it at 2 million, but at 1.5, it's a steal. And then all of a sudden we get like 5 more showings and an offer. It has worked so many times that I know it's not BS. I've never heard of anybody else using it, but it just tends to work. Now, if you know your property is overpriced, this is probably not going to work. But if you've got one of those, so it happened again, I had a property out in Decatur. It was called the Decatur Mansion. I wonder if the website's still up. I buy web addresses for my listings, by the way. I like to name them. So DecaturMansion.com.
Question.
Answer.
So
Yeah,
whenever you do this and people see that it's dropped that much, do you ever get like skepticism of like, well, what made you drop it so much? Is it?
Oh,
a problem
you think
with the
people are
house,
paying
like that?
attention?
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, I don't.
Wow.
My answer to that would be like, oh, it's hard to find good help. My assistant messed it up. So sorry. yeah, this property was originally listed at $800,000. And so I guess this was the example that I was giving. Now, where it is located, so a couple problems. Number one is that this property, it was nearly 7,000 square feet and on only 2 acres. Now, a property that is 7,000 square feet is expensive, but people who are buying out in Decatur, Texas in this price range are hoping for a normal sized house on a lot of land. This was a mega house on 2 acres, which relative to the rest of Decatur is very little land. And so I was finding myself going like, oh, I'm really struggling to find the person for this. So what I did was I raised the price to $1 million, and I posted it all over a website called LinkedIn, which is where people that have millions of dollars hang out. And then what do you know? It sold. I didn't sell for $800,000 by the way. It sold for $725,000, and I was proud to take home a $21,000 commission. That's fine. Fine with me. Fine with my buyer too. He's off in Mississippi now. No, Missouri. One of the Misses. So yep, went well. By the way, that's another mastery tip on the marketing thing is, so what I love to say to, gosh, I'm giving away all my nuggets here. Imagine showing up to a listing appointment and saying to your potential seller, like, hey, I notice you own your address here at 123 Main Street. Do you own your web address? And they'll go, huh? And you'll go, you own 123mainstreet.com? And they'll go, no, I don't. And then you'll go, I do. It's a really good listening appointment.
Does this method work with houses that are cheaper, or is it better for houses that are over like?
The method works for any house. I would say it's overkill for houses that are cheaper.
Yeah.
Right. So if your house is 350 and under, for example, I mean, you're going to put a sign in the yard and have 60 offers, right? It's but for these properties, a lot of the expired price, because I go after expired properties, a lot of them are higher priced and some of them have oddities, right? That's why they expired. And so I've had to come up with ways to do guerrilla marketing, not Gorilla, Guerilla. People don't know the difference. So I've had to come up with unique ways to market. And so this is where this comes from. This was the McFarland Mansion. So I name houses. Like, yeah, this is at 512 McFarland Street, but we call it the McFarland Mansion, right? So name your listing. That's cool too.
That's a cool looking house.
It, the outside
Well, the
was so.
outside is, I don't know what the inside looks like. Not so good.
Well, preserved in its original 1912 condition is what I'll say. Well, except for the kitchen, which was 1987. But you can see that's completely original. This is completely original. That's completely original.
So it has character, quote unquote.
Has character. This sold also last year. This was on the market with their previous agent for 448 days.
Oh my goodness.
It took me about 3 months to sell it, but we did sell it. Got a good price for it. They were thrilled. Happy people. We love that. Weird people, but happy people. Okay. I'm glad we went through that pricing mastery. We talked a lot about pricing today. You're all going to price your properties perfect. Oh gosh, something we didn't talk about under images. Gosh, this is really important. Okay, so again, I go after expired listings. One of the things that I notice about listings that expire is they really struggle with what I'll call the photo strategy. Okay, so we know we've got, so back when the National Association of Realtors was still doing important work, they did something where they went and looked at how many, they basically did an eye test, I forget what they call that, but where they were looking at, like, whenever a buyer goes and looks at a property online, where do their eyes go, how long do they stay, et cetera. And what they discovered is that buyers only look at 3 to 4 photos of a listing before they decide, ooh, I'm interested, I'm gonna keep looking, or ooh, you know what, I'm not interested, I'm gonna move on. Okay, 3 to 4 photos, that's it, that's all. Okay, so they're only looking at 3 to 4 photos. If you've ever watched HGTV, A Day in Your Life, you know the 2 most important rooms in a house are the what and the what? Kitchen and bathroom. Kitchen, master bathroom, right? So, and the reason for that is pretty obvious, right? Those are the rooms that have stuff in them. When you move all of your stuff out, the bedrooms and the dining rooms and the living rooms, those all kind of look the same. It's 4 walls, ceiling, floor, right? But the kitchen and the master bathroom have stuff. There's cabinets, there's countertops, there's fixtures, there's hardware, there's appliances, there's stuff you get to buy, right? That's why those rooms are important. That's why they're worth the most. So here's what I notice. Whenever I go and look at expired listings, whenever I go and look at most agents' listings, the first photo is usually the front of the house. The second photo is usually the front of the house from over here. And then the third photo is the front of the house from like over here. And then the fourth photo is the front of the house from like just a little bit closer. And the fifth photo is of the front of the like front door. And the sixth photo is of like the back of the front door. And the seventh photo is like the laundry room. It's something that I call photo clumping. And what they're doing is they're like, oh, I'll clump all the exterior pictures here. And then I'll clump all the pictures of the front entryway here. And then I'll clump. So they either do photo clumping or they try to pretend like it's a virtual tour, right? Like, well, you would walk in and this is the first thing you'd see. And then you would see what's over here. And then you would see what's over here. Just so y'all know, that's the wrong way to do it, okay? And I can tell you this because right now I am a home buyer, okay? And I can tell you that the property I'm looking for has a pool, okay? If you wait until photo 32 of 32, because that's when you would get to the backyard, right, is at the very end, you're an idiot. Stop. Why would you? Because here's the thing. I'm a real estate agent, so I know the property has a pool, okay? That person that didn't make it past photo 3, photo 4, they don't even know. They don't even know the property has a pool. They don't even know. So you're messing it up, right? So the first photo is the front of the house, right? Curb appeal is super important. We agree. Curb appeal is important. The second photo, if the property has a pool or if it has a view or if it's got a lot premium of some sort that you really need to feature, well, that should probably be photo 2. Photo 3 should probably be the kitchen. Photo 4 should probably be the master bathroom. Well, Thomas, then what do I do after that? I don't care, Judy. I don't care what you do after that, but you really need to have those photos organized toward the beginning. You've got to get them interested very, very quickly. You nailed it with the pricing strategy, right? We didn't price on a 9, okay? So we had a really good day. We've got the property in front of the person who's probably going to buy it. So now we have to get them interested very, very quickly. We do that with what's called the photo strategy, okay? Are you guys, okay, so here's my question. I can go back to the material. I can cover communication and we can get out of here, or we can do Super Ignite and I can give you one more really like solid bit of information.
I would like to.
Solid information.
Okay, cool. You guys asked for it. So once we have the, once we've got the the prospective buyer interested very, very quickly by nailing that photo strategy and not waiting until photo 32 to put the most interesting part of the freaking house, the next thing we have to do is we have to inspire them to come and see it, right? How do we inspire buyers with a real estate listing, okay? Because inspire is kind of an emotional word, right? The way that we inspire people to come and see our listing is with something called the property description. I know what you're thinking, Thomas. No one reads the property description. You might be right about that. And yet, if someone is reading the property description, true or false, that is a huge buying sign. If they're reading the property description, they are begging you to sell them that house. They're begging you, okay? So let me tell you what most real estate agents do. Let's find any listing. Any listing, doesn't matter. So let's just, let's go something a little bit more palatable. Okay, yeah, how about this one? Okay, so most real estate agents will squander the opportunity to write a great property description by doing this. They'll take all of this information that I'm highlighting and they will put it in sentence form. So for example, oh my God, it's a beautiful 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath house with just over 4,000 square feet, built in 2010, better than new, routing to top rated Heritage High School. Come see it. So the problem with that property description is that it's ultra hyper logical, and logic makes us think, but it's emotions that make us act. You've probably heard at some point in your life, Hey, make a logical decision. Don't make an emotional decision. Make a logical decision. It's stupid. That's impossible. The part of the brain that's responsible for decision making is called the limbic brain. It's the mushy emotional part right here that has no capacity for language or math or formulas or lists or bullet points. It has no capacity for any of that. It literally makes the decisions and it's all about emotion. Humans are emotional creatures. We make decisions based on emotion. By the way, it has to be that way or instincts wouldn't be a thing. My gut is telling me, no, your limbic brain is telling you. It's what it is, okay? So if we're gonna have someone's limbic brain fire off and say, you need to go see this listing and put an offer on it today, well, then we have to light that part of the brain up. The way we do that is we sell the lifestyle, not the architecture, okay? We don't tell them like, hey, it's a really fucking cool pile of bricks. It's got some rooms in it. It's got a backyard also. Like, that's not how we do it. We have to tell them about enjoying where the warm sunlight comes through the window and where you can sip your coffee and watch the sunrise. And that's what you have to do. It's cheesy, it's stupid, and you have to do it. Okay. Now, you agree. I randomly selected this list. It was random. Let's see if this matches what I thought it was going to be. Okay. I've got the mouse upside down. Amazing one-of-a-kind floor plan and sought after Westridge with Frisco ISD, over a 1/3 acre lot. This home is perfect for the large family or guests. I think that's a violation of familial status. It is. Master down with granite in bathroom, large closet. Second room down can be used as a mother-in-law suite, also a violation of familial status. With its own full bathroom, rich hardwoods, newer gas cooktop, comma, beautiful stained doors throughout, comma, etched pantry and laundry, room glass. Huge upstairs game room with true blackout and media room. One room up has full bath, other 2 Jack and Jill, also a violation of familial status. It's 3. Massive newer 45 by 16 outdoor deck, playground with rubber mulch. Stained reinforced shed, comma, garden, and all the room you need for backyard entertaining. Newer AC unit. That's not okay. Not new, it's newer. Too many features to list. Must see in person to appreciate. Wow. I didn't say wow, he said wow. Wow. So, so let's just grade this, right? Anybody want to grade it? Okay. Is it emotional?
It is emotional, however.
It is.
I mean, kind of.
It has excitement in the.
It has
tone.
excitement.
No, it has
I think that's
exclamation
just
points.
Well,
I'd say it was emotional.
Yeah. So I would probably have stayed away from, first and foremost, the violations. The fact that there is a lot of documentation in there that can be considered as, okay, well, great, there are many rooms in there, but it already tells me all of that upstairs.
Yeah, I scrolled past it to get here.
Precisely. It just, the whole situation makes me go, but if it were to have said, it has beautiful hardwood floors that can attract the light out of the windows, allowing it to make the room feel a little more warm and fuzzy. Great places to have your kids, your dog, your family, or whatever. I mean, you can't really say that, but
Yeah, but I understand where you're going with that. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's exactly right. And it comes across to me like a used car salesman. He's like, yeah, you can fit so much freaking spaghetti in this thing, and I'm just like, what does that have to do? What do you mean? So, yeah, I found it to be remarkably disappointing. But look, only floor plan like this home is lived in, but will not disappoint. So that puts me at ease. Please note that days on market are approximately 20 days less than shown. David, this guy needs help. Put this guy on the list. We need to call him.
You just call me David.
No, sorry. I read Irwin and I was thinking of my David. Sorry. We need to call James Lane and recruit. He needs help. He needs to be in this class. Bless his heart. Oh no, poor James. This is not James. This is James.
I'm not James and I'm not David.
James. James Irwin. Oh,
James Irwin.
bless his heart. 817. Anyway, we need to call him. Okay. Poor guy. Y'all see these people, y'all let us know so we can call and help them. We're the #1 training company in the world. Okay. So anyway, you had a question about something. I have a feeling it had to do with the familial status violation.
Yeah, the Jack and Jill, how's that at?
Could be Jack and Jack. There are things that, whether we agree with them or not, there are things that as real estate agents we're not allowed to say. We can't even say that something is walking distance. Some people can't walk. I know.
So we would have to say 0.2 miles.
Just say nearby.
That's okay.
So
Nearby.
what about moderate low, moderate low suit?
What'd you say?
Moderate low suit.
Mother-in-law
It's
suite.
also.
Mother-in-law suite.
Oh, no, sweet. Well, it's familial status. Anytime you're mentioning like a specific makeup of a family, if you're like, it would be great for your mom and your dad. Well, some people don't have a mom and a dad. Anytime you mention family, you've screwed up. Because it appears like you're trying to market to a specific subset, and you can't do that, right?
What would you call that secondary house in the back?
I would call it a secondary house.
Guest
Guest
Oh,
house.
I did that.
Guest house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So then what would you say to the Jack and Jill bathroom?
Well, technically, that's called a Hollywood bath. That's what that's called. Yeah. It's in MLS. It's Hollywood bath, and a lot of people pass it up, and they're just like, "It's not a Hollywood bath." It's like, no, that's what. Anytime you've got like vanity, room with shower and toilet, vanity, and then bedrooms on each end, that's called a Hollywood bath.
So I bet most buyers don't know what a Hollywood bath is. They only know it as a Jack and Jill bath.
Yep, good old National Association of Realtors coming at us again.
So how do you make a property description emotional without bringing in so many of those things that cause people emotions? You know, like, I mean, your family brings you a lot of emotions, brings you, or I don't know, something important to you like that. So I guess my question is, how do you manage to do that?
I'm going to show you an example of my
Perfect,
technology
thank
here.
you.
The #1 real estate technology company in the world.
Sometimes batteries die.
Well, but no, look, it's clicking though. It just doesn't move.
I don't know.
James?
I had that problem the other day.
Oh, really though, it doesn't. I went to public school, so. Anyway,
Let's see if it's the batteries. Let's see if that
Are you allowed to say like a 5-minute drive, something like that, or can you not?
some people can't drive. No, I actually don't know if that's a violation. I don't think so. I don't think drivers are a protected class.
Okay, good.
I don't think so. I don't think that's a protected class. So, no, you can say that.
Okay, great.
The way that I keep it emotional is I think about creature comforts,
Uh-huh.
and then I talk about those. I do talk about warm natural light coming through the windows. I talk about rich wood. It's really about adjectives is what it's about. And it's about using things like rich and dark and bright, comfortable. I use the word remarkable a lot. I used glorious the other day.
Wow.
So it's just, you just have to paint the picture. You're trying to paint a really pretty picture and try to have someone imagine themselves living in a beautiful, warm, comfortable, warm and fuzzy space.
Okay.
Without saying, your mom and dad are gonna love living here. You can't-
Okay.
So do you ever reference high ceilings? Because that's
Soaring
something-
ceilings.
There you go. I
Yes.
like that. I like that.
Mhm.
'Cause I see, and with an 8-foot ceiling.
Yeah.
Hardwood floors, granite. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, my ears.
I use the word enormous a lot.
Okay.
What do I say? There's another word that I use a lot, and I catch myself using it a lot, but spacious. I
Spacious.
say spacious a lot. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna read you one of my property descriptions, but we don't have.
I'll just go look it up.
technology. Yeah, just go look it Okay, cool. So here's the final thing I'm going to mention, only because what you guys are witnessing is something that I call a listing critique. Whenever a listing expires from the market, the sellers of that listing receive my marketing strategy. If they read my marketing strategy, meaning they click on the emails and they look at it and all that good stuff, the next thing they receive from me is something called a listing critique. That's a video of me. Here's my face, and here's their listing, and I go through their pricing strategy, which we've talked about. I go through their photo strategy, which we've talked about. I go through their property description, which we've talked about. The final thing I mentioned in that video is the ease of showings. Okay?
The mouse
So-
works now.
Wow. So good at this. Thank you, James.
Sometimes things just need batteries.
I know his name's not James. But
Can
now,
you
but now
describe
I'm
your
gonna
own
keep
house in your own words. I don't know if you've done that yet, but Juanita would like you to describe your house in your own
I
words.
need the mouse first, but thank you for the suggestion.
I have the mouse.
No, it didn't work. That's why, that's what I was trying to
Yeah,
Gotcha.
now he's gonna show us.
do. Here we go. Let's do. Fine. I'll find a good one. Let's go back 2 years. Gotta find one that was emotional, one that I know was emotional. I don't say 5, that's not true. Oh, because I put acreage. Idiot. Okay. Which one of these was emotional? Oh. Probably 211 Summit. That one was cute. Ready? Nestled in the heart of the historic lakeside city of Farmersville, this spacious ranch-style home has been meticulously maintained and opulently updated. Featuring original wood floors, chic shiplap walls, and trendy wainscoting, this sophisticated home maintains its old-time charm without sacrificing modern luxury. You'll marvel as you step through the front door to see countless recently replaced windows that flood this home with natural light throughout the day while maintaining efficiency. The kitchen features tasteful butcher block countertops and stainless appliances, and a master ensuite features an elegant vessel tub and separate shower. This charming and historic residence will surely impress.
That was beautiful.
That's how I do it. Nothing about how much your dad's gonna love it, nothing about like how the gays can't use the bathroom or whatever, but just like, you know, just that's how it looks. So, there you go. All right. Okay, so the final thing that I want to talk about is ease of showings. Most of the time, whenever I go through and I look at the showing instructions, they usually say something like, turn the lights off and lock the doors. So that's really more of an exiting the showing instruction, right? I usually say something to the effect of convenient showing through showing time, 1 hour notice preferred, please call for exceptions, can't wait to see you, happy face, exclamation point. That's like generally what I put. Refreshments on the countertop. Why would I have some incentive for making the property appear easy to show? What would the incentive there be? Any guesses? Okay. It's a rowdy group. The reason for that is because on average, 8 showings equals an offer. Okay? 8 showings equals an offer. So it is my job, it is my goal for my seller to get 8 qualified and enthusiastic buyers through that property as quickly as possible. I do that using the pricing strategy, the photo strategy, the property description, and making it remarkably easy to show, right? All that stuff doesn't matter if it's just like only showing between the hours of 1:38 and 2:23 p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays. Dogs will be locked up in each room of the property, crying baby on the porch. Please do not disturb. Like that's not what we do. So we make it remarkably easy to show. What we're trying to demonstrate is that we're super easy to work with and we're enthusiastic about selling this house. How many of you have ever shown a property to, and it seems like the seller doesn't want to sell it. They've made it like a 30-minute showing window and it's only available like on weekdays before 4. And it's like, do you guys even want to sell this? We don't ever want to give anybody the impression that we're hard to work with or that we're unmotivated from the get-go. Okay, so that's why there's an incentive to making sure it looks like it's remarkably easy to show. By the way, going after expired listings, what I often find is sometimes agents, under showing instructions, it says call agent. No, it's 2021. If your agent is, this is my script. Mrs. Seller, if your agent has the time to be a call center for your listing, they're not selling enough real estate to be qualified to sell your house. And I love you. So that's the script. You should be automated. I can't call where I live. 2021. Sorry. So make it look easy to show. So if you nail those first 4, then you're well on your way to an awesome marketing strategy. Okay? We all get that? Super Ignite. I love it. Okay. I love that this last thing says buyer profile. What is a profile for the home that you've chosen, first time buyers, young families? Because this is a direct violation of familial status. And probably some other things too. Yeah, I actually had a property, I saw it, it was right before this one. I had a property recently in McKinney where the owners really wanted me to target Indian people because they were like, that's who lives here. And I was like, okay, thank you for the information. And I was like, we can absolutely target, or we can market to Indian people as well as, everyone else. I don't know if he wanted me to go like knock the doors of teepees or something. Like, I don't know what you meant. Like, what do you want? Target Indians. So anyway, by the way, I know.
I knew you knew.
I knew you knew I knew.
I'm
So
glad you clarified.
anyway, beautiful property. And so here's the thing. If I would have targeted Indian people, I don't know. Well, okay. That's who bought it. That seems Indian. The point is, you can target everyone, but you can't. So here's what I did is my assistant who lives in the Philippines speaks the language of India, which I cannot remember the name of, but there's a name for it.
Hindi?
So Hindi, there we go, thank you. So we did our property flyers in English, Spanish, and Hindi. So we did a good job. Worked. So innovative marketing, we love it. Okay. Holding the festival open house. Let's jump to page 19 real quick. We've talked about most of this, but I want to double down on some things. It talks about leveraging the internet and social media. Christy Maloof teaches a really good class on this. The best way that she has described to me, and I don't leverage this because I just don't, but her way of getting people to see her stuff on social media as it pertains to her listings are by tagging the locations, okay? So you know how Snapchat and Instagram, like if you go and take a picture somewhere, like it pops up and you can tag your location, and then everybody who also visits that location or is looking at that location can see your tag, can see your picture because you tagged it. Okay, you should do that, right? So if you're selling a house in McKinney, for example, you should tag your photo McKinney, and then everybody in McKinney will see your photo. Okay, so, and then there are special hashtags you can use. I forget what they are. One of them is moving to Texas. That's one of my favorite ones. I tag all of my stuff moving to Texas. People look at that stuff. Okay, let's look at, we're gonna get into communication any second now. Yeah. Okay, page 21, communicate with sellers. So here's the thing. This chapter has a lot of words and sentences. I'm gonna be real clear with you. Whenever you start in real estate, you really do have to follow your client's communication preferences. There will come a time when you are in enough demand where the tables turn a little bit and you get to define communication preferences. Okay? So I always ask whenever I go on my appointments, like, hey, tell me your preferred communication style. Do you want me to call you? You want me to text you? You want me to email you? And then if there's a spousal situation, I go, who is the primary contact? And a lot of times they go, oh, either of us. I'm like, no, who is the primary contact? Okay, who is the primary? It's very often the wife, which is great. I have no problem with that. I want to know who the primary contact is. I want to know their primary preferred communication method. And then I say this. Mr. and or Mrs. Seller, I get down to business, right? And so I will never call you or text you or email you unless I have business to discuss with you, okay? So one of the things that's suggested in here is to call your clients weekly to inform them about your marketing efforts. No. I'm never going to call my client and go, hey, how you doing? Like, it's just never, no. The answer is no. Because I have enormous respect for their time, and I would hope that they have the same respect for mine, right? I'm not calling you to catch up. I will call you when there is news, okay? Sometimes the news is, hey, I think we should reduce the price of your house. I'll call you with that news. Sometimes the news is, hey, we got a contract. These are all things worth talking about. But hey, it's going to be a little rainy this weekend. That we don't, I don't have those discussions. And so that is me making sure that I'm taking their communication preferences into mind, and then I tell them what my communication preferences are, right? A lot of people talk about setting boundaries for the times that your clients can reach out to you. I found that is, there's a common sense approach to that where you don't have to bring it up. And the way that I do that is if my clients text me after 6 p.m. about things that aren't like crucial, that's fine. They're free to do that. And I'll respond to them about 8 a.m. the next morning. I might even type out the response that night, just set it to send at 8 a.m. But it establishes the boundary, like, hey, yeah, you can text me after 6. And you'll hear from me during business hours the next day. Now, there are always special circumstances, right? My client who lived in Colorado, who I sold his condo for him, he was in Colorado and his house was vacant during Ice-Mageddon, okay? The pipes burst at 11:58 p.m. on a Tuesday. Called me. He left me a message. I listened to the message at about 12:03 a.m. and I called him back. Because that was a special circumstance, right? I'm a millennial, I'm awake at midnight, it's okay. I drove to his condo, it was worth $400,000, that's $12,000 in my pocket whenever we sell it, and I turned off the water, which was fortunately just in the garage. So I'm not saying you need to be a tyrant and that you need to set these strict, Hitlerian things, but I'm saying that we can set the boundary by not saying. Right? If they notice that they're texting after 6 p.m. a lot and they're not getting a response until 8 a.m., they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. My clients know that I'm in a lot of appointments, and they know that I will contact them back the moment I'm out of my appointments. They get my voicemail a lot. They do. And they're happy to get it. And they know I'll get back to them. And I always do. So, it's smart of you to gather their communication preferences so that you know, and it's also very smart to set your boundaries, okay? Business is about a life by design. That's the purpose of business is to fund a perfect life. And so if you're finding that your business is not funding a perfect life or that you're not living a perfect life because of your business, you're doing it wrong, okay? We had an office meeting yesterday where there was an agent that was really excited about telling us that she answers her phone 25 hours a day. And that's fine if that's that agent's preferred life by design. For me, it's not. For me, it's not. So if your life by design involves answering your clients' calls at midnight, awesome. And if it doesn't, which I assume is most of us, you don't do it wrong. Don't do it wrong. Life by design, not by default. It's right there.
Do you give yourself a day off, or have you ever do you have a specific day, I'm gonna take this day off every week, or maybe today's not that busy, so I'm gonna take the morning off? Do you do something like that?
I always take 2 days off.
Okay,
They aren't always the same 2 days.
so just depending on your schedule that week?
Well, let's say I have a client who can only see houses on Saturday.
Okay.
Well, I'm working on Saturday, but I'm not gonna work on Sunday, and I'm probably not gonna work on Monday, right? Let's say that I got a client that can only see things on Sunday. Well, maybe I'll take Friday off. I'll take Saturday off. So I always give myself 2 days. And it's crucial. I'm not going to be pleasant to work with if I'm working a 7-day work week. Okay. And I understand when you first get into real estate, that's sort of necessary. Yeah, get your business. I get it. I do. I know. I was there. I just understand you eventually earn the
Those 2
right
days off.
to do that stuff, and you systematize and you leverage. I'm reading a book right now called The Pumpkin Plan by Mike McCallowitz. Stupid name, great book. And it talks about how you, like, if you're building a business that isn't scalable, or if you're building a business that doesn't work without you, you did it wrong. Okay. And so, like, if you're doing something that's so proprietary that only you can do it, well, you're dooming yourself to a life that's not by your creation, it's by your client's creation. I don't want my clients creating a life. So I understand that's mindset, that's mastery, that's next level stuff. I know, and I'm warning you in advance. So my slogan whenever I got into real estate was personal professional service on your time. The stupidest slogan in the world, because people believe me. And they're just like, this guy's gonna be available at my beck and call. No, no, no. I think most people view themselves, and they view real estate agents as slip and fall lawyers or used car salesmen. We're kind of like doctors. You are paying me for what I know, not necessarily for what I do, right? And I'm available at specific times. And you wouldn't call your doctor at 11 p.m. and be like, I can't believe you didn't answer my 11 p.m. call. It's your doctor. You know exactly what they're doing. They're at home enjoying time with their family, and they'll be in the office the next morning at 9 a.m. and they're not calling you, their receptionist is calling you. And that's how I operate my business. That's the right way to do it. And by the way, do you know how much pushback I get on that? No. People start, if you start to believe your value, other people believe it too. So you just set those boundaries. You let people know. I am a professional. I'm very busy. And I love you. You're one of my favorite clients ever. And here's when I'm available.
Juanita in the chat asked, what if a buyer can only tour a house after 5?
Oh. Did I say something that implied that I didn't work after 5? No. No, yeah, that's. I would say that's most buyers. Most buyers work until 5 p.m. and then they can see from 5:30 until 8 or 9. That makes sense. I have gotten to a point in my career where I have buyers agents and showing agents, so I don't usually conduct those showings. But what we Eves Realty Group is out showing houses after 5 for sure. 7 days a week. Yeah. Right. Any other questions around that? Okay, we've covered 3 major topics today. Okay, we covered staging, we covered marketing in great detail, and we covered communication with some mastery stuff in there. And we did do some mastery. Do we have any questions around any of those 3 things? Any ahas that y'all want to share? No ahas from today?
There's a lot of steps and little stuff that it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yep. And you learn by doing it. You learn by doing it. I know that, whenever I came into the business, there was no there was no KW Connect. There was no, there wasn't any. I developed Allied Resources. I had agents that I knew in these 2 buildings that I would go and ask questions of. And that's just what I did. I took it one step at a time, and I knew, because I'm not a high C personality, I'm a high D personality, I knew that I was never going to know it all. And I knew that the moment I figured it all out, they would change it. And so I just decided, it was like, I'm just never going to know it all. And I don't know it all, and I'll never know it all. But I just go out and do it. The person that you're working with doesn't know that you don't know everything. And I don't know that they would care, right? I know that my doctor doesn't know everything. I know that sometimes he has to refer to his text. I know that sometimes he has to Google it. I know that. Doctors don't know everything. They know a lot. They have mastered the subject, and they're never done learning, right? So you don't know everything. And you're going to develop your own processes too. A lot of real estate coaches and training programs hesitate to tell you everything because it stifles your creativity. I remember I walked in here one time and there was an agent who I love, giving instruction about how to write a contract. And they were saying, here's what you put here, here's what you put here, here's what you put here, here's what you put here. And I was like, oh my God, you've just taken away the negotiation power of every agent in that classroom, because now they don't know they get to choose what to put there. They think you just put this here and this here and this here, and you just don't. Those are all negotiation points, right? So there's a lot of points at which I can totally tell you what to do, but I do my best to let you know, this is what I do, and you can do whatever you want. I thought you were asking.
Oh, no.
You don't have any brilliant questions for us? You usually do.
Sorry. So when you started working on your marketing strategy to go after these folks, I'm assuming all these videos and so forth have just been a work in progress and developing them. Like when you first started contacting these folks, you didn't just go out the gate with a video and.
So that's a great question. I started with, so I started the Eves Realty Group in 2016, very end of 2016. And it was a miserable failure. I wasn't going after expireds. I was going after for sale by owners. For sale by owners are the reason I got to eat whenever I got into real estate. I didn't have a database. I didn't know anybody. Well, no, I did. My database was between 16 and 20 years old, and they were in Corpus Christi, Texas. They were 426 miles away, and it just wasn't relevant. They're like, put together your database. I was like, that's not a good idea. So, so I had to create one. And so I was like, what's the lowest hanging fruit? And at the time, I thought, well, it's for sale by owners. So I went out after for sale by owners, and I was sending them, I don't even know what the message was. It was probably something like, hey, I noticed that you're trying to sell your house on your own. Want to sell it with me instead? Like that was probably the script. I don't know. It was a really, I didn't know anything, right? I was an idiot. And so, and an idiot, just a more informed idiot now. So, but that 50-to-1 conversion ratio, that's real. Out of every 50 for sale by owners that I contacted, I got an appointment. Some dumb schluck would call me and go, you seem like a professional. Come and talk to me about listing my house. And I would. I would go out there and I would take the Keller Williams document that shows that we outsell our nearest competitor, a ratio of 14-to-1. And I would go, this is me, dude. And they would go, that's awesome. When can you put it on the market? I'd go, tomorrow. I would bring my camera and I would go and I would take pictures and I would put it online. I would sell it. So you just figure it out as you go. But whenever I started my company, I was like, man, I bet you I can go after these people in a systematic way. If you can't systematize it, it's not going to work. Okay, you can't scale it, right? So I wanted to lead generate in my sleep. I wanted to lead generate while I was doing other stuff. And so I set up all these automatic text campaigns, and they didn't work. I got a whole lot of, I thought that I might get like some, wow, thank yous. I got a whole lot of FUs, which are more difficult to convert. And so that didn't work. And so I was like, I think people think my text messages are invasive. So what's something that's less invasive? Well, I could email it. So I was like, I gotta find their email addresses. How do I do that? And so I developed all those resources and a bunch of other ones to find email addresses. There's some that failed and some that were super successful. And so then I started emailing them like a drip campaign. And I was like, man, this is gonna be amazing. No, they weren't seeing the value in that either. And so I was like, I should probably come up with a unique value proposition. Otherwise, I just look like everybody else, right? And so my unique value proposition turned into my elite marketing strategy, which is different than what everybody else has. And so the best thing you can do for your business is decide what you do differently than everybody else and put it in writing. I always think like if I was trapped on an elevator right now with the McKissick Group, with Real Estate by Design, and with, I don't know, and with Reyes Realty, I was like, what could I say before the elevator gets down to the floor that would allow me to work with this seller and not with these other people who clearly have gravitas in the field, right? Like, what could I say? And so I developed my 1 minute, my 30-second elevator pitch, right? So I was emailing that out and I started to get a little bit of like response. I was like, okay, we moved the needle there. And then I discovered that all of my emails were going to spam. And so that's when I learned about things like DKIM and DMARC and SPF. And if you're thinking, what does that mean? Yeah, same. So I screwed that up. So then I had to figure out how to clear that hurdle. That was when video, I was just like, email is the least engaging, but email that's tracked is pretty engaging. what if I tracked email with video? And so I started adding videos to my email, and that's when my business blew up. Great, any other questions? That was a really good question.
That's a good one. Okay.
So on your video that you send them, is it like you talking, or is it like a PowerPoint presentation, or you're sitting in front of a camera talking to them? And is it the same one for everybody you send out as like a canned one? Or
It's
you
not canned.
personalize each
I
every one?
personalize each one. I say virtually the same thing. But let's say, I have an expired listing and they expired after 9 months on market. And I noticed that they were priced at $399,900. What do you think I'm going to suggest?
My gut just a little bit.
What do you think everyone else is telling me?
Drop it down.
So if they see my face on their screen next to their house going, hey, dummy, you should raise your price, I'm probably going to get a response from that. Maybe not immediately, but I'm probably going to get feedback. Right.
Do you find your stuff that you send with through video, and this is because I don't know what you say, DKN, I don't know what that is. Do you find that those don't go to spam as often, or do you find?
I had to fix my spam issue by talking to a lot of tech gurus and by doing a lot of creating email accounts and emailing those email accounts and reporting things as not spam and then responding appropriately and clicking on all of the links. I basically had to teach the artificial intelligence inside of Gmail and inside of Outlook and inside of Yahoo and inside of AOL that I wasn't spam. I had to teach them. And by the way, my stuff wasn't getting reported as spam. That was the problem. It wasn't being opened, right? So that leads into a whole discussion about what are subject lines that
To
people
get
will
people's
open.
attention?
Let me tell you how to get your emails opened. I don't care what your subject is, it doesn't matter. You put that before your subject line, they're going to open it. Because it looks like they've already replied to it.
That's cool.
Yep, that'll get it opened. Great questions.
When's that class you said you're teaching?
July 29th at
29th.
12.
Okay.
Don't show up at 1. So it'll be after.
Lunch will be gone by then.
Yes.
12. Okay. I have one more question. You said that you struggled for the first 6 months to make whenever you first started. I think you said 6 months you struggled because of something that your past.
So keep asking your question.
Okay, so during that time,
Mhm.
I'm guessing it's just your personality, but like what kept you so headstrong on this is my career path, this is what I'm doing, and like let me not get another job, or maybe this isn't right for me. Like what kept you so headstrong on I need to figure this out and just stay on this path and not like get another job or do something else?
Yeah.
What was it for you?
Great question. And I'm going to answer that by going all over the place. So, and I'm sorry. And if you're not interested, I'm sorry. So I did really well my first 90 days of real estate.
Okay.
And I was an individual solo agent. I was in Ignite class with a bunch of very strange women who I'm pretty sure needed to be. I think the asylum escaped, and this is where they came. And I was just like, who are these people? My ego was a little strong in that group. And I was going after for sale by hunters. I had 3 listings in my first 90 days. They all sold. A child who the most money he had ever made in life was $32,000 a year, getting $8,000 to $10,000 checks, every other week in his first 90 days. That got me to go going. I joined my business partner, and she said the thing to me that ruined my self-confidence. And then I didn't close anything for 6 months. I think what kept me in it was, one, I had proof of concept. I knew I could do it. right? Just something was off. And I don't want it to look like, or to seem like I didn't explore other options. I absolutely did. I was almost the assistant regional manager of Taco Casa, and that's not a joke. I went through the interview, I was offered the job, almost took it. Almost took it. I was thinking about like the trajectory of my life and what would be different if I was the assistant regional manager for Taco Casa. And so, I just think I think a lot of it was ego. I didn't want to be viewed as a failure. I didn't know if my self-confidence could take that blow. My self-esteem was already pretty toilety. My spouse was working double shifts every night at Buffalo Wild Wings to make sure that I had enough money to make the rent so that I could keep pursuing real estate. And I think we all go through this thing where we're just like, if I just sold one property, it would cover all of these expenses. I'm negative. One house would do it. And so I was like, I just gotta close one. And so I think the other thing is, and this is going to be politically incorrect, so my apologies. Nothing makes you feel more competent than hanging out with a bunch of real estate agents. And I mean that in the nicest possible, okay? You are a fabulously intelligent group of people. And yet, I think what you'll notice the more realtor events you go to is like, you have a license. You handle the largest transaction, the biggest investment in people's lives, like on a daily. You do. Holy crap! That was sort of a confidence booster for me. I was meeting these people going, if you can do it, I can most certainly master it, like definitely. And so I know that's not the answer I'll put in my novel, not the answer to be in the autobiography, but it happens to be the truth. So just a culmination of all those things is what led me to not giving up. I saw the potential. I didn't want to go work for anybody ever again. I didn't want to work for other people. I tried that. I don't like working for other people, and other people don't like me working for them. It just happens to be true. Because I always know better. Whether that's true or not, who knows, but I always know better.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, great. We got up 29 minutes early.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Of course. James, any questions?
None here. David doesn't have any either.
No questions from David, no questions from James. Good deal. Thank you all very much for waking up early on a Friday morning.
Thank you.
It's Friday.
One of my batches of text messages went out because now I'm getting people saying stop.
Stop. Do I just end this link?
What? Yes, end. Yes.